All right, this is case 170437, People of the State of Michigan versus Moody. Hence for the record, Ms. Rothstein.
Thank you, Your Honor. Vita Rothstein appearing on behalf of Tom Moody, who is appearing via Zoom. We have reviewed the assessment and there were no corrections.
Is that true, Mr. Moody?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Rothstein, I'm prepared to hear from you if you'd like to be heard.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would like the court to know that Mr. Moody has been through a difficult month. He did, his father was in the hospital when he was last being sentenced, and he has since then lost his father. So it has been a difficult time for him. In spite of that, I think that Mr. Moody, I agree with the assessment and the recommendations in. We'd ask the court to adopt that. Mr. Moody has not been in any trouble since this happened, which was all the way back in November of 2016. He has certainly turned his life around a great deal since the day that he made that very poor decision. He has moved to Ohio. He is employed. He has changed his environment and really changed himself and matured and for the best, for the better. So I believe that he will be successful going forward, and I don't think he's going to have any trouble with any type of police agency going forward. I think he's on a much better path now than he was back when this happened several years ago.
Okay. Mr. Moody, this is your opportunity to speak.
Yes, to add on what Ms. Vita said, I have changed my life a great deal. I have 2 kids now. Me and my wife run a business together. I have a job, a great job at that. I plan on just staying on a straight path and taking care of my kids and doing what's right for us. And my deepest apologies for what happened last time, sir.
Okay, I was wondering if you were going to speak about that. Your apology is accepted. Let's just go ahead and move forward.
Yes, sir.
So, 6 months probation, $100 fine, $125 state assessment, $550 in court costs, which I find to be reasonable based upon what it costs the court to handle cases like this. And so what we do is we add up that total cost for all of the defendants, and then we divide it by the number of defendants, and that's how we come up with your share. So that's $550. It's $325 cost recovery for law enforcement, $110 cost recovery for prosecution, $100 for the assessment, and $210 in oversight fees, for a total of $1,520. Mr. Moody, I'm going to assume that you probably don't have that kind of money just hanging around, right?
No, sir.
How much can you realistically afford to pay on a regular monthly basis?
Approximately, probably like maybe 50.
$50 per month?
Yes.
Okay. $50 per month starting July 20th. So that will give you a whole month to make sure that you have a cushion built up.
Okay.
Now, this is a court order. If you don't make your payments, I end up doing a bench warrant, and a bench warrant is an authorization to the sheriff to arrest you. And when I do a bench warrant, there's an automatic $75 charge that is applied to your account, and you got to be looking over your shoulder all the time. So you can avoid that by simply coming to see me. I know that you're in Ohio, but you would have to make the trek back here to come see me, and it would have to be before your payment is due. Otherwise, you end up with a bench warrant. You can actually end up with a 20% late penalty as well. So understanding all of that, figure out what your payments are, how are you going to be able to make those payments, and make sure that you don't have to come back to see me, because I know that, we don't allow people to call me or send me emails or letters or texts because people can always say that they did that when they haven't. So the best way for us to make sure that people are on the up and up is for them to be required to actually be in the courtroom with me. Okay?
Is it possible that we can get it down to 25?
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank
So
you,
your
sir.
payment, your payment will be $25 a month starting July 20th.
Thank you.
Okay.
And you said that I have to come to Michigan to set that up?
No. You're already set up. All you need to do is start making your payments. Okay?
And will they send me like paperwork on how to do that and such?
No. You would actually just have to send your payment, a check or money order, to the court, to the 55th District Court, make it payable to the court, and make sure that it just gets here before the 20th day of each month.
Okay.
Now, if for some reason you come to court and I'm not available, then you need to see Ms. Williams. You don't have to remember her name. Just remember, you don't just decide to leave if I'm not available. And if you can't remember her name, and you don't have to remember it, you can go down to the clerk's office and just ask them who the lady is that handles payments for the court. And everybody that works at the court knows that that's Ms. Williams. Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, you're to meet with probation on a monthly basis or as directed. I'm going to make you eligible for early discharge of your probation after 3 months. Okay? That'll be subject to the objections of the prosecutor. But the prosecutor could object and say he doesn't believe that you should have an early discharge. We would have a hearing, but basically the hearing would be all about whether the goals of rehabilitation have been met. And the goals of rehabilitation are to get you to think differently so that you act differently. And so that's what the hearing would be all about, for me to satisfy myself that I believe that that's true. All right, you're not to possess, carry, use, or purchase a firearm, ammunition, or other dangerous weapon. Do you own a gun or a nightstick or anything like that?
No.
Not to violate any criminal law of any unit of government. You're not to leave the state of Michigan without the permission of the court, but I'm going to sort of waive that because I understand that you live in Ohio. Vandalia is the name that I have for the city. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. You make a truthful and accurate report to the probation officer in each contact. You notify probation within 24 hours of any change of address or employment, and within 24 hours of any official police contact, like being arrested or being questioned by the police. You'll provide proof of healthcare coverage, meet with the healthcare navigators directed by probation. You're not to use, possess, consume, or be in the presence of alcoholic beverages or controlled substances, nor be present in any place where alcohol is sold for consumption on the premises. You're not to use any products that contain alcohol or some other substance that will change your state of alertness. So what that actually says is that you have to be in rehabilitative environments. And I'll just go back to what I was talking about before. I've signed you up for 6 months, but I'm willing to cut it in half to 3 months if you're taking care of business. I mean, I recognize that this is an old case, and that's one of the reasons that you became, I think, a little bit concerned about what it was that I was doing, that we should just kind of close the books down because of the age of the case. But now you can see that there's a whole lot for us to do, which is why I didn't just agree to close the case out, but I will make it available for you to potentially have an early discharge. But you got to be on point. Okay. So this means not hanging around people that are smoking and drinking or using drugs or whatever, and not using any products that's going to cause you to test positive yourself. So things like mouthwash can cause you to test positive. Things like cold medication like NyQuil can cause you to test positive. And it is not a defense to a probation violation to be testing positive for THC because you ate a brownie that you didn't know had THC in it. So brownies, cookies, gummies, granola bars, suckers, dabs, wax, vapes, K2, salvia, spice, whatever. Be very circumspect about what it is that you expose yourself to. You're not to abuse prescription and non-prescription drugs, and provide verification of all prescriptions to testing agencies within 48 hours of obtaining a prescription. You usually attend counseling as recommended in substance abuse assessment. You're to drop for probation, law enforcement, testing agents, case manager, physician, or counselor. You're to submit to a search of your person or home in the car upon the request of either probation or law enforcement officers to ensure you're in full compliance with all probationary terms and that you place on electronic monitoring. It does have GPS. So you said that you have your own business, plus you have a job?
Yes.
I'm going to waive this as long as you continue to be working full-time. Okay? So curfew of 11 o'clock, maintain employment as condition of probation. Your license is subject to suspension. I don't know what's happening with your license. Ms. Rothstein might be in a better position to be able to tell you that, but if the state of Michigan or the state of Ohio or whoever says that, they're going to take licensing action, it's out of my hands. But I just want you to be aware that that is a possibility. And you're dismissed fingerprinting by law enforcement as directed by probation. Now, despite the fact that I've ordered all these things, you may be able to appeal. If you decide to appeal, you need to do so within 21 days. And if you require the services of an attorney to help you with the appeal, and you can afford to hire your own attorney, then you need to let us know within 14 days, and we can refer you back, or at least we can refer your application back to the Office of the Public Defender, which is where Ms. Rothstein works at, and they can evaluate you for eligibility for appellate services. Ms. Rothstein, do you have any questions or concerns?
No.
Mr. Moody, sir, do you have any questions or concerns?
No, sir.
So somebody from our probation staff will hopefully be reaching out to you by the end of this week, and not by the end of this week, by the beginning of next week. And you can let them know what I said about waiving your ability to leave the state, and you can let them know that we talked about potentially waiving your community service requirement as long as you're working full time. And it can be a combination of the two jobs that you have, as long as they both add up to 40 hours between the two per week. I'm going to allow for you to waive the opportunity to have to do community service. Okay?
Okay.
But if you're not working, then I want you to do community service to keep busy doing something on behalf, even the community in Ohio. I don't know, what's going on in Ohio, but I'm sure that they have nonprofits that you can help them out with, like Goodwill or Salvation Army or something like that. All right, so that's going to be all for purposes of today. Thank you very much for your time, okay?
Yes, sir.
That's
Thank you.
this morning.